Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to share this program with you tonight. Ms. Johnson and I are always available beyond their experience tonight. If you have additional questions, we'll share our emails at the end of the program. But thank you so much for joining us. And without further ado, I will turn it back to Ms. Johnson to introduce our panel.
Thank you, Ms. Lurie. And again, my name is Jennifer Johnson. A little bit of information about me. I am a Chandler alumna, but I am also a parent of an 8th grader and a 1st grader here at Chandler. And I'm the Assistant Director of Advancement and Community Engagement. It is my pleasure and privilege to be able to moderate this panel, this wonderful all-star alumni panel this evening as they share with you their experiences and insights into Chandler's K-8 program, as well as its impact. So for now, we're going to go ahead and get started. Reza, I'm going to have you kick off the panel and lead off with introductions. Panelists, please, as we begin, state your name, state when you came to Chandler, as well as where you are now, whether it's high school, college, graduate school, and also feel free to share some interests as well. Reza?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Hello, everyone. My name is Reza Mohammed. I graduated in the class of 2021, just like Natalia and Nathan on this panel, meaning I'm a sophomore right now. I currently attend Polytechnic right here in Pasadena. And I have an interest in sports. I play squash. I love to surf. And Chandler really had a big impact on my life. So I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Reza. Natalia?
Hi, thank you, Mrs. Johnson. My name is Natalia Pradhan. I came to Chandler in kindergarten, meaning I'm a lifer, and currently I'm a sophomore at Flintridge Prep. And some interests that I have are I play volleyball, I volunteer at my local hospital, I have an interest in medicine and science, and I also do a lot of work relating to diversity and inclusion.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Nathan?
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Johnson. My name is Nathan. I'm a sophomore at Harvard-Westlake School, and I graduated Chandler in 2021. I entered Chandler in 4th grade, and I participate in debate, which I started at 6th grade in Chandler, and I'm also part of my high school student-led publication.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nathan. Sunday?
Hi, I'm Sunday Labrucherie. I entered Chandler, it's a little funky, but I joined in kindergarten, was there through 2nd grade, left for a couple years, and came back for middle school in 6th grade. I currently attend Westridge School, which is also in Pasadena, and I'm a senior, so I'm looking into colleges right now, and I'm actually looking to go into a poli-sci field, so political science, and I'm also really interested in theater and soccer as well.
Thank you so much, Sunday. Max?
Thank you so much, Mrs. Johnson. My name is Max Krech, and I joined Chandler in 1st grade, and I graduated in 2018. I went to Flintridge Prep, and now I'm at USC Marshall School of Business, and I am currently looking for a business degree, and I also have an interest in public policy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Max. Samantha?
Thank you so much, Mrs. Johnson. I'm Samantha Rivas. I went to Chandler as a kindergartner and I graduated in 2012. I went to high school at Mayfield Senior School. I did my Bachelor of Science in Mathematics at the University of Portland. And currently I'm a 2nd-year medical student at the University of California, San Francisco School of Medicine. Some of my interests is I'm interested in going into pediatric critical care medicine and also pursuing academic medicine. So continuing to research and teach. And then outside of school, I enjoy cooking and just getting to explore San Francisco.
Thank you so much. And now for the next question, which I always so enjoy, is if you could please tell us your favorite or fondest Chandler memory. And Samantha, actually, we'll start with you first.
Okay, so my favorite Chandler memory, I have a couple, but I think it was probably kindergarten. We have a Shamrock shop on campus, which now it's kind of like a little pop-up shop that the parents put on. But when I was there, it was a little building on the field, right outside the field. And you went in there and had ice cream and school supplies and little popsicles. And every once in a while, parents can either give you a dollar or they can buy Shamrock dollars in the beginning of the year. So every once why my mom in our lunchbox would give us a little Shamrock dollar. And in that sense, Auto Pops were 25 cents each. So you walked away with a decent amount of ice cream for a little 6-year-old. And other than the Shamrock shop, my other favorite memory is the family fair. Every year it was on the fields and they had so many booths. We walked home one year with 7 fish. And I mean, they had like the jumping Velcro wall and they had just various activities. And it was always something my friends and family looked forward to doing every summer.
Thank you, Samantha. I will say that we've gotten, Miss Lori, wouldn't you agree? We've gotten a little bit better on our sugar policy with our Shamrock shop. And now for a family fair, when they do the goldfish booth, it's actually, they get a coupon now, Samantha, so that they can go to the pet store and pick up their fish. But I can't tell you how many stories we have of goldfish that have grown and have lasted for years after the family fair. So thank you so much for sharing that memory. Matt?
And also the exciting news is that in the spring of 2022 or 2023, it is a family fair year. So we'll be having our family fair on the Chandler campus next spring. So we're excited to bring that back in person.
Yes. And Max?
Yeah, thank you. Going back to that, I don't think my goldfish lasted over 2 weeks, unfortunately. But I did have a lot of fun at the family fair. But for me, I think my favorite memory was having buddies. So the buddy system, when I came in, I was a first grader. So I just moved from Oregon. I was really nervous, new environment, new community. But immediately I was introduced to my buddies who were in 7th grade at the time. And they were just kind of a mentor figure to me. I had 2 because there were more 7th graders than first graders, but I remember hanging out with them. We went to kind of different events together and they'd pick me up and go to assembly. And it made me feel so much more a part of the community and having these older people that I could look up to that have gone through all the Chandler experiences and could tell me about their experiences and give me advice. Which made me really excited to have a buddy of my own when I was in 7th grade. And hopefully I provided my buddy with that same experience and gave him some comfort and community, knowing that he had someone there for him that was older. And now it's crazy that he's in 7th grade and will have his own buddy at some point. So it's really, I think, special to Chandler and a big part of the community. And it really had a great impact on my experience.
Thank you so much, Max, for sharing that. Sunday?
I have to say that one of the greatest memories I've had, not only at Chandler, but also just over the course of my life, was the outdoor ed experiences that Chandler provides. I'd say it's a very unique program. I know I talked to my friends in high school about it, and they talk about how they've never had those experiences. So in 8th grade, in particular, we went on a backpacking trip throughout the Sierra Nevada. And it was just a very impactful experience for me because I got closer to people that I don't think I would have if I hadn't gone on those trips. It's just like a very nice bonding experience, but it also teaches you so many fun skills. Like, I am very interested in the outdoors now, and I would like to take a backpacking trip on my own at some point before I go to college. And I don't think I would have if I hadn't gone on those trips. So apart from Chandler's stellar academics, that week at the beginning of the year is a real moment where you get to connect with the community, but also explore so many different environments. And it's really amazing.
Thank you so much, Sunday. Nathan?
Yeah, my favorite Chandler memory was being on the debate team. So I joined the debate team in 6th grade, and there were so many opportunities to join different teams, meet new people, and go to different tournaments at different schools. And probably my favorite debate memory was the Polytechnic debate tournament, where the whole team was singing a song from The Lion King during lunch break. And a lot of skills I learned on the Chandler debate team, like note taking during debate, that's called flowing. I still use in high school debates.
Thanks so much, Nathan. Natalia?
Yeah, I would say my favorite Chandler memory is probably the award ceremony in 8th grade. And I just remember like when I heard my name called for one of the awards, I felt like I was so happy. And I just remember giving Senora Vasquez, I think it was, like, I just remember giving her like the biggest hug, and I felt so proud to be like recognized for my hard work and at prep. And I'm still proud of like my work in high school, but that was really special for me.
Thanks so much, Natalia. Reza?
Yeah, so every hearing you guys talk about all those memories brings back so many of my own. But I think my most fond memory was 7th grade football. I played quarterback on the team, and we were playing Flintridge prep that week. And the whole week we were working on this one trick play. So for those of you in the audience who watch football, it was a 5-step curl route. I threw the ball to my receiver, and then he pitched it back to me. And I would run and try to get as far as possible. So we were playing prep at home at Chandler's Field, and we weren't doing too well with that one play. But it was the beginning of the second half. We just came out from halftime, and coach called for the play. So I drop back. I throw the 5-yard curl to Aiden Guzman. And he pitches it back to me, and I take it all the way to the house for a touchdown. And we ended up winning the game, and we ran to the locker room and we were just screaming, just a bunch of 7th grade boys. And it was just so fun. And it really just reminds me of kind of everything Chandler has to offer. And just also to Natalia's memory about the award ceremony, I had pretty much the exact same experience where my name got called for one of them. Miss Kazarian, who, as I look through the attendees, is in the audience right now. As soon as I won my award, I gave her a big hug, ran up to collect it, and just had a great time that day.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your favorite memories. It's wonderful to hear you all reflect on them. And now moving on to preparation. How did Chandler prepare you for the next steps in life? And we'll take it really with where you are in your next chapters. We'll start with Sunday. Would you like to talk a little bit about your transition from Chandler to high school and how Chandler prepared you?
Yeah, of course. So I have to really say that Chandler is responsible to the academic drive that I developed. I came out of Chandler with a real understanding of how I needed to organize my time, what it meant to like really dedicate myself to my work. I mean, it's a difficult school, but it is difficult in a way that really helps you and prepares you for your future. I create spreadsheets now, and that is a skill that I learned at Chandler, where I kind of dole out all of the homework I have, the time I have, the days I have to do it, and I kind of organize it per day, what I need to do, all of these things. And that's a skill I learned at Chandler. The teachers there really push you to be on top of your work while also providing you the support that you need to finish everything and to really succeed. So I'm really grateful for that experience.
Thank you so much, Sunday. Natalia?
Yeah, I would say something similar. Chandler really helped me develop good study habits. Like, I know how to study really well now in high school, and especially when I have multiple tests in one week, I know how to manage my time really well. And Chandler has this really great thing called the assignment center. And for each day, like, it says the assignments that are due or that are active or that are assigned, and you can mark it like to do, in progress, or completed. And even though like I don't have that at my school, like I still I write it down in my planner and everything. And going back to like study habits, Chandler taught me like like in order to really know something, I have to write it down. And so this summer before sophomore year, I bought this huge whiteboard and it just sits on my desk. And every time like I have a test or something, like I'll just write every single piece of information that I need to know on the whiteboard and then erase it and then write it again. And that really helps me. So.
Thank you, Natalia. Nathan?
Yeah, so the transition from Chandler to high school went extremely well. In terms of education at regular level, Chandler prepared me really well. For example, things like things I learned in sixth grade English, like the analytical writing structure, have followed me all the way to high school. Just overall, Chandler's education is really top notch, and being at a school like Harvard-Westlake or the other schools that the panelists are on, being at schools like these, it's high school is, has really difficult topics to learn in a different education system, but Chandler prepares you really well for that.
Thank you so much, Nathan. And now to hear from Max. Tell us a little bit, now that you're a little further out, how has Chandler showed up in your life, especially now being in college?
I'm really surprised at the huge impact that Chandler has had. And now looking into being at college where you have to manage your time by yourself and socially figure out different events and places that you fit in. And I think Chandler's focus on academics, but not only academics, but also the social aspect and community aspect has allowed me to best manage my time in a way that I'll experience both in college and integrate them, because I remember some great experiences at Chandler, such as food making competitions and different projects where we had to film videos, things that I'm doing at college, actually, that I experienced really early on that I really appreciate now looking back that, wow, I started doing that in elementary school and at middle school at Chandler, and just learning to balance academics with fun and also integrating them is something that's been carried with me into college.
Thank you so much, Max. And now Samantha, being even further out now and in medical school, we'd love to hear just a little bit about just how your Chandler experience, how does that show up for you in your adult life?
Yeah, of course. I think just echoing everything my panelists have said is for sure time management. I think Chandler has really emphasized that you need to balance your academics with just everything that goes into being a good applicant for high school and then college. And then ultimately for me, medical school was you have to balance your academics with your social calendar, with your athletics, with your volunteering, with your community service, everything that goes into making a whole person. I think Chandler really emphasized being a whole person. It's more than just being a strong academic student, but making sure that you're getting involved and ultimately succeeding in all of that with time management. But even more so than that, I think Chandler really taught me to be independent and advocate for myself. First day of fifth grade, we were sat down. I had Mrs. Jacobson, who's now retired, that I'm still close with, and she went through her like ground rules for the class. And one of the first things she said was, don't expect your parents to bail you out. If you forget your homework, I'm not letting you call your parents. If you forget your computer, you can't call your parents. If you forget your shoes for PE, your uniform for PE, like you're not going to call your parents. And I mean, I think it was 9 in fifth grade. That's a pretty big task to put on a 9-year-old, where it's just like, you're starting to become an adult and being independent and having to do things for yourself. And it was really being independent, not relying on others to bail you out. And I think that's carried on throughout my life. Not to say in high school, I didn't forget my running shoes. My mom didn't bring them to me, but it did teach me to be more independent and then also to advocate for yourself. Chandler really puts an emphasis on the student and the teacher relationship. And it's, again, your parents advocate for you, but it was more the students need to advocate for themselves. And so it was learning how to properly email a professor or a teacher and properly speak to one and really ask for what you need or ask for help, or just how to approach that conversation with an adult and the respect that's needed. That is really fundamental when you're in those really impressionable ages. That's really stuck with me was email etiquette and just, speaking to an adult, it's an art. And I think it's something that is very well taught at Chandler, and it's definitely carried me through high school to then college and to then medical school.
Sunday. Yes, do you have something to add?
I'd love to just echo Samantha's point about how Chandler really pushes you to be a more well-rounded human being, because I got so many opportunities at Chandler that I had never had anywhere else. I was doing all 5 sports offered at Chandler. I was in the plays. I was doing leadership opportunities and going in like even further into my academics with Mr. Calderon is our 7th grade bio teacher, but he offers additional biology courses, more advanced courses in 8th grade, and like taking advantage of those. There are just so many different opportunities. As Nathan had said, debate. Like if you want to get involved, Chandler is the place that you should go.
Thank you so much, Sunday. It's wonderful hearing all of you talk about just your experiences and the preparation that you feel as you move on to the next chapters in your life. And as we talk about your academic preparation and your study habits and organizational skills, time management, and the opportunities that are afforded to you while you join in the Chandler experience, we'd also love to hear a little bit about the relationships. And so moving on to our next question, we'd love to hear a little bit about the relationships that you've built at Chandler and how they've transformed or informed your life after Chandler. So thinking about your teachers, your classmates, the community as a whole, we'll start with Reza.
Ms. Johnson, this question is actually kind of a struggle because it's hard to pinpoint one aspect of the community that is the strongest. But Sunday mentioned Mr. Cal. Mr. Cal was one of my favorite teachers at Chandler. And right before this, actually, he got an email with an invitation to the webinar, and he sent me a good luck message right before this. And I think that's kind of a testament to how close the community is. Throughout my Chandler career and beyond, I've had access to the most spectacular people. Like this past year, I was starting a nonprofit, and Chandler was able to put me in contact with a man that had started his own nonprofit that's widely successful. And he gave me insight into a field that I didn't really know much about. And also that football coach that I mentioned earlier, I came back to Chandler a couple months ago for another event, and he saw me and he called me over, and he told me to play one-on-one with him till 11. So we played one-on-one till 11. He still has it. He was able to beat me pretty easily. But I think all that just kind of shows how close the community is.
Thank you so much, Reza. Sunday?
Yeah, just echoing what Reza said. They're just like, it's so easy to create relationships with the adults at Chandler, the teachers, the faculty. I know that I was really close with Mr. A and also Miss Johnson, and like creating a bond with your coaches, your teachers, where you feel comfortable not only addressing the subjects and the activities that you do with them, but also just having human conversations and really having that connection. So much so that my English teacher from a couple of years ago, she retired, but 2 years ago, I asked her for a rec letter for an internship that I was applying for, and she gladly wrote one, and it was really, really sweet. And I'm so grateful for the relationships that I've fostered at Chandler.
Thank you so much, Sunday. Natalia, would you like to add on as well?
Yeah. Going back to what Reza said, there are so many relationships that I formed at Chandler. It's like so hard to pinpoint just one, but I just want to talk about like how supportive and collaborative Chandler was. And with all of the people in my grade, I was like extremely close with them, and I still am with a few of them. And I like with Chandler, Chandler is challenging, and some of my friends and I, like, we kind of just had like, we motivated each other, and we were always there for each other, and like we would work on homework together sometimes or study together. And I think it's kind of helped me in high school create like that drive, because there was one person especially that I feel I was especially driven by and competitive with. And we go to the same high school now, and we're still like that. but yeah, and then going back to what Reza said about Mr. Cal, like sometimes he's at Flintridge Prep just for like football games or middle school games, and I'll see him and like we'll sit on the bleachers together and I'll just like say hi or we'll catch up, and that's really nice.
Reza?
I just wanted to add one more thing. I think what truly displays how close the alumni is with each other is that that we're all here, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, from different graduating years at different high schools. Ms. Johnson sent all of us a text, and we all responded with an emphatic yes, because we kind of want to just show how much Chandler had an impact on us. And I think the community is so tight knit, and I think it's just displayed right here.
Thank you so much, Reza. Thank you to everybody. And before we actually move on to our next question within our program, I do want to start to encourage our guests that we will have a Q&A after the formal program, and we'd love to hear from you. I'm sure that as our panelists have shared their experiences and their reflections, there may have been questions that have come up, things that you might want to ask our alumni, and who better than to ask the alumni themselves. So please feel free to start dropping those questions into the chat now, and we will absolutely get to that towards the end of our program. As we move on to what now keeps you connected to Chandler after you leave. So if we could please talk a little bit about that. Samantha?
Yeah, so I am a little far removed from Chandler. So what keeps me connected is, again, Chandler reaches out. I get college packages, and I still get them now that I'm in grad school. So once a year in the mail to spoil the fun for the other alumni. But it comes once a year, and it's an exciting little package that comes to me in your college dorm. And so that was a little something that I always look forward to, and I was excited for my freshman year when it came. And my mom actually this past year went and helped package them because my brother is also in college. So we also got a little handwritten note from my mom included in ours. That made it even a little more special. But just to echo what the other panelists had said, it really is the community and the faculty and the people that you really meet at Chandler that just wants to keep you connected. I still meet up every few months with my 5th grade teacher. We're still very close. I'm like pictures of me are hanging on her fridge. And so we still are close, and I love her dearly. And there's plenty of other faculty. I ran into my English teacher at the gym when I was back home. And so we caught up. And I think it's also, besides just the faculty and the staff and all the wonderful people you meet, it's the community that of Chandler alums and everything. My freshman year I needed to reach out and start pursuing my career in medicine. And so I reached out to Mrs. Johnson and asked, is there anyone in the Chandler community that'd be willing to let me shadow them? And through her, it was how I found my first shadowing experience with a pediatric oncologist at Children's Hospital LA. And that's just something that a lot of people, it's really hard to get those experiences without knowing someone. And I didn't have to know anyone. It was just simply that I went to Chandler and that there was an alumni who was willing to let me work with them. And so I think that's just something that keeps you connected to Chandler. If I need something, they're always there, and they're always willing to hear your stories and how much and what's changed and, you know, how well you're doing in life. And so I think it's that. And then, of course, the people. My mom still gets lunch with some of the people from my kindergarten class that we've known for years and years. And so it's really just the people and everything you come with, and it's really the community. Chandler really does build a community that's long lasting and has stuck with me.
Thank you so much, Samantha. It truly is the community that is the heartbeat of our school. And it is such a wonderful place to be, whether you are a student and then, of course, leaving and beyond Chandler as an alum. We really, truly strive to create an environment where our alumni feel very warmly welcomed when they step back onto campus. And I just wanted to kind of elaborate a little bit actually about the program that Samantha was talking about. It's our College Connection program. And this is a program where we invite past parents, so current parents that are out there, when your children are now in college, or maybe they're attending a high school, boarding school, or graduate school, you'll be invited back to Chandler to create a care package for your sons or daughters. And it's a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with old friends, but it's also a great way for us to be able to stay connected with our alumni as they travel across the country and are exploring different chapters of their lives. So this is just one of the opportunities and the ways that we strive to keep connected with our alums. And we have many programs from high school to college and even beyond, when we're inviting them back to become speakers and mentors to our current students, which our current families will get to experience and to maybe hear stories from their students when we start off and kick off the Alumni Speaker Series, which will be next year. So thank you so much, Samantha, for bringing that up. Natalia, did you want to add? I know you said that you wanted to add a few remarks to this as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say like how you texted all of us and we all like responded with a yes. And I mean, all of us could have easily said like we were busy or we had something to do. But personally, I feel like we all said yes to this because Chandler has shaped us into the person we are today. And we are just so grateful for the opportunities that Chandler has given us. And to come back and do this for Chandler is something that is really important to me and probably the rest of the panelists as well.
Thank you so much, Natalia. And before we start with our final question and really ask our panelists to impart just words of wisdom, advice to all of our current and prospective families, I'm going to invite you again, our guests, feel free to drop in questions into the chat. We'll be taking a look at them shortly, and then we'll be opening that up to our panelists momentarily. But the final question in conclusion of our formal part of our program is just really opening it up to our panelists and asking and inviting them to share a little bit about just families who are considering Chandler for their own children, or to current families who are either in the lower school or the middle school. Just what advice or words of wisdom would you like to impart on our guests? And we'll start with Reza.
Wow, it's kind of a deep question. I'd say kind of engage with the community and take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you. Because I think what Chandler does best is that they bring a kid in and they cultivate their interests and allow them to apply it in a way that will help them, throughout high school, college, and beyond. So whether you're an athlete like me, or a debater like Nathan, or a microbio stud like Sunday, or just a overall smarty pants like Natalia, Chandler really does its best to take all your talents and make sure you're the best version of yourself when you come out. So yeah, I'd say take advantage of all the opportunities that are given you. I'm so glad I did it 7th grade because our 8th grade was cut off, the majority of it due to COVID, but I still felt like I had a really fulfilling Chandler experience because I did all that I could 7th grade. I ran for student council, which is something that I didn't consider beforehand. And now I'm part of the alumni representatives.
Thank you so much, Reza. Natalia?
Yeah, I would just say like take advantage of opportunities that Chandler gives you. In 5th grade, the summer of 5th going into 6th, I was invited to a conference in Washington, like just a leadership conference in Washington, D.C. And I spent the week there with 2 other Chandler students. And now like going in 10th grade as a sophomore, I was invited to the Student Diversity Leadership Conference in San Antonio. And I went, and it totally reminded me of my experience in 5th grade. And I look back on Chandler a lot, and I just think about, like Chandler has shaped my experiences and like how I set goals for myself, and all of the accomplishments that I've done is because of Chandler. So
thank you, Natalia. Nathan?
Yeah, I'll just sort of echo Reza on this. The connection building at Chandler and the overall connectivity of the Chandler community really makes it a special place to be. I joined Chandler in 4th grade, and right away I joined a friend group that I still keep in contact today. So I guess my advice for families is that don't worry about the social aspect of middle school, because it's at a place like Chandler where you know everyone and everyone knows you. The ability to build connections with such a close community makes you feel more comfortable at whatever new place you go to, like high school.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Sunday?
Yeah, just one thing that I really want to focus in on is the teaching at Chandler, and the way that the teachers there really do their very, very best to make it engaging for their students. So we have done the most, like the craziest projects to really allow us to engage with the material. So in my 7th grade math class, we built an actual like model of something and then like found the volume of it. And me and my partner crocheted like a stuffed animal, and like it was crazy, and somehow found the volume. I don't even know how I would do that now. And then in my science class with in my 8th grade science class, we were taught like a lesson and then had to recreate that lesson. I believe it was on Newton's 3 laws in an artistic format. And so my group and I made a stop motion animation of examples of Newton's 3 laws through like whiteboard drawing. So we would like draw it out on a whiteboard, take a photo, do it over and over again. And it was really fun, but I really like internalized the material because I was learning all of these complicated issues and these complicated subjects in an engaging and fun way.
Thank you so much, Sunday. Max?
I think I've had experiences at Chandler that I would have not experienced anywhere else. Like I remember in 7th grade in biology class, we tested our own genetics to see if we were bitter tasters. And with equipment you wouldn't find anywhere but a research lab. And I thought the experiences and the technology and the resources that Chandler has makes every experience special and unique. I also took a 3D printing elective. I'd never touched programming or design before in my life. And I joined the elective for fun, and I ended up bringing home my parents' gifts, and they were like, whoa, what is this? Where'd that come from? And I was so proud that I made that as a middle schooler. And that's not something I even really experienced much in high school, but I saw this at Chandler, and I thought it was extremely special. And I'm very appreciative to have that experience. And even furthermore, based on those electives in 8th grade, we actually had the opportunity to run our own classes. And I ran a class about aquatic habitat building because at the time I was really invested in marine ecosystems, and we built a 40-gallon fish tank in a 7th grade math classroom. And I was able to lead the class and teach others about something I was passionate about, and actually had a physical representation of the information I was teaching about, which I thought is so special at Chandler, that everything is made practical, and there are physical models and things that aren't just information being blurted at you, but rather each student can take that information and bring it to practical knowledge and physical representations of that.
Thank you so much, Max. And Samantha?
So I am really, truly grateful for my experience at Chandler and everything it's taught me. I wouldn't trade this education for anything. And speaking of just, I think Chandler does a great job of taking what we're learning in a classroom and applying it to the real world. I mean, in 8th grade, I've talked about this project since I've done it. I mean, I tell everyone about this project, which I don't think is no longer a project, but still in 8th grade, we had the game of life, where it was you rolled a dice, and that dice determined everything from your salary to how many kids you had, to if you were married, to where you lived, to life events. And our 8th grade teacher actually went around to faculty and asked them, like, what major life events have you had? Like, oh, your in-laws are moving in. Oh my God, your house flooded, or you won the lottery, and things like that. And so it was all of that, and basically how to run a life. You had to balance checkbooks, you had to balance your salary with where you're living and follow all appropriate codes. And if you have to buy a car, how much it costs, and your moving expenses. Ultimately, we like filed taxes. And then it was like, and as an 8th grader, this is a huge life experience and things. And it was all based off probability and like the life chance. And it was things that we were learning in the classroom that he took and applied to the real world and taught us in a fun way. But more than that, I think my advice to parents who are current parents or just ones who are interested in joining the Chandler community is do exactly that and join the Chandler community. Just show up and be involved. All of my fondest memories are the ones where my parents were involved and showed up. I mean, my dad was a member of the trustees, and we had trustee visiting day. And we're taking a math quiz, and I look up, and there is my father sitting right next to me, staring at me as I'm taking this math quiz. And of course, we get a different quiz back, and he like grabs the paper to see what I got. And so it was like there are memories like that where my parents, they both worked. My mom was based in a company on the East Coast, but she still found whatever time she could have in their very busy schedule to, do a field trip every once in a while, or, bring my pets to school, or, sit there and watch my kindergarten spelling bee. And so I think the biggest thing for the Chandler community is it's more than just the students and the friends that your children will make, but it's also the parents getting involved and really being a part of that community and just showing up for your children, because it is such an important thing growing up that way. And I think my advice to then incoming students would just be to get involved as well. Challenge yourself, do whatever you can now. If you've never thought you'd be good in a play, try it anyways. If you didn't think you'd be good on a sports team, go for it anyways. Because I think Chandler is such a welcoming environment that even if you fail, it's the best place to fail because they'll just pick you right back up.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Anyone have any final words? I was going to take a look at our chat. I don't think we have any questions. Guess this will be your final opportunity if you have any questions for the evening. Oh, Sunday, I'm sorry.
No, okay. I just, again, want to echo the real world application. I mean, I remember that project that Samantha is talking about. It was a little different, a little more math focused, but we did it in our 8th grade math class. I don't know if it's still there, but it was 4 years ago. And along with that, actual physical things, as we're going through this, I'm just remembering different things and different activities that Chandler puts on. And I'm amazed by how many activities, how many projects there actually are. So in 7th and 8th grade and a little bit in 6th grade, we have this thing called STEAM Week. And in 8th grade, we built miniature golf courses. But not only were we it wasn't just building miniature golf courses. We were using wood and drills and all of the woodworking things and applying math to it to try and see how angles and how could you actually get a hole in one, and we had to solve that and kind of applying the things from science and math and art and engineering, because it's STEAM. Yeah, I believe that's the acronym. It was way out of order, but actually that we've learned in the classroom actually into practical application. And that wasn't the only activity. I mean, there was in my 7th grade history class, I made a giant art installation and had to present on DACA. We basically took on a current event and had to do a year-long presentation, do a research paper, and make some sort of art installation. It was a giant board that was way bigger than me, and you had to spray paint it. It was crazy. There's just crazy opportunities. I'm just remembering all of these things. I'm wow. It was a very impactful experience.
Thank you so much. And actually, Reza, before I get to you, I'm just noticing, because I'm having a few of our current families send me private messages via text, and I apologize to all of our guests. It appears that the chat is actually disabled, and I'm so sorry, because I know many of you are actually trying to raise your hand. I know that you have definitely questions for our panelists, and I do apologize for this inconvenience. Give me just a few minutes while I see if I can navigate it on my own through my end on this way. But Reza, did you want to maybe add while I try to troubleshoot and problem solve?
Oh, yeah, I'll go for it. Just to all prospective families and families of current Chandler students. I know you guys are all probably tired of hearing my voice at this point, but I hope that the main takeaway from all this for all of you guys is that Chandler truly is a transformative experience. And I think I can speak on behalf of all the panelists here when I say that. It's for example, the science labs are so advanced. The sports, there's so many sports opportunities. It gives you so many avenues to pursue your interests and things that you weren't otherwise interested in. And the community stays so close after, like everyone's mentioned. My mom actually was just telling me that she's on this Chandler Moms chat with a ton of people, a ton of moms from my grade, and they always talk about high school. And it just kind of shows how tight-knit the community is. As I've said. And yeah, I just hope you take away that Chandler is just an amazing school. And if you ever have the chance for all those prospective families to send your child here, it is so worth it. It is really worth it.
Okay, everyone, I am back and I think I have fixed it. So please feel free. I know that some of you had some questions that you wanted to drop in the chat. I know some of you had your hands raised. The chat is able and active, so please definitely do go ahead and drop them in. I do see right now that we do have just a thank you to the panelists and just that it was a very informative evening. Thank you so much. To our panelists, thank you so much for sharing today. Very impressed with all of you. And then also the question from one of our guests is, how has Chandler helped you with your social emotional development and help you to become the confident people that you are today? Who would like to take this question? And again, the question, Samantha, go ahead.
Yeah, so I could speak on this. And I think one thing Chandler really emphasized was presenting. And I think that's the way that I learned how to just be articulate and confident, is to just really how to give a good presentation. I think a lot of it was focused on speaking well, not reading from a slide, things that are very basic. But once you start with like learning them so young, they just become second nature and has like translated into, again, like giving a speech in front of panelists. And then I think emotionally, it was really that independence and that empowerment to advocate for yourself that kind of help with that like emotional intellect that's kind of carried on just with the nature of growing up and just life experiences. I think Chandler kind of helped you to figure out all of that, because you know you're kind of in your really informative years. There's a lot of things changing, friend groups are changing, all of those things, and there's a lot of support from Chandler on being upfront and just really learning how to process emotions wise and then articulate that to a group of people and just like as a presenter.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Natalia, did I see your hand? Perfect, Natalia.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate what Samantha said. Like, I mean, being like a teenage girl in middle school was like not exactly easy, but like the teachers were always there to talk to you, and you like friend groups are changing, but I always had like a solid, like the people at Chandler were so amazing.
Thank you so much, Natalia. I hope that all
Johnson, if I can jump in, we have a question from our visitors tonight, and I'm wondering if any of you might be willing to chime in and talk about your experience welcoming new students into the community, whether it's new students that join in the lower school or the middle school, as we do have different entry points in our community. And I'm wondering if any of you might be willing to talk about that addition of new students to your class and how that transition goes for all of you. Max, awesome. Thank you so much for helping out with that.
Sure. So I came in first grade, so I wasn't there in kindergarten. And honestly, by the time the years progressed, everybody didn't know that I came in first grade. They thought I was a lifer too. And that just points to the community getting you involved, and everybody's just so closely knit and welcoming is what I noticed. And really by the end, people that came in sixth grade or even seventh grade, we all didn't care when you came. It was just all about being together and experiencing all the opportunities at Chandler together. So I really don't think, no matter when you come in at Chandler, you'll always be welcomed, and it won't even feel like you came too late, because there's never a time too late to come to Chandler.
Thank you so much, Max. I see another question here in the chat. Thank you to all of our guests for dropping the questions, and it's so nice to see your questions. What skills do you feel that you learned at Chandler that you have applied at these competitive high schools and beyond? Who would like to draw upon a little bit more of the skills that you learned? Reza.
I think many people have already mentioned the organizational skills. I'm still getting there on that front. That's one thing that hasn't sunk in with me completely. But I think the main thing is the communication with adults and teachers, and being able to advocate for yourself in order to talk to teachers when you have a problem. Because a lot of my friends, even now as sophomores, are saying they're scared to go to certain teachers because they're scared they're going to get chewed out. But I think Chandler really teaches you how to have an interpersonal connection with adults, as Samantha was saying earlier as well.
Another question from one of our guests: how did Chandler respond when you had challenges in your educational journey? Like Sunday?
I mean, again, just as Reza said, it's about those relationships and about the fact that the teachers promote and like really encourage going to talk to them and are very open to it and will help you when you do. And additionally, we have other resources. I believe so Mr. Nan, or Mr. Nancaro, as he is known, runs I forget the exact name for it, but it's kind of just like an academic help center. It's especially helpful with math questions, but it's open, I think, every day, before school, after school, whenever you need some help, he's always there for you. And I know I went to him many a time for some questions that I wasn't fully grasping. He is a very fun and charismatic way of teaching you. And so I think that's one resource. I mean, it's really about just the people and the support that the community offers.
Thank you, Sunday. Samantha, I see your hand raised.
Also to speak on that, I personally really struggled with the 5th grade to 6th grade transition, and I was really struggling in 6th grade. And so it came down where even Chandler also recognizes that we still are children, 6th grade, I think it was like 10 or 11. And so it also is almost a family discussion as well. So, we talked to my parents about even studying at home and what we could also do at home to help foster education and studying and learning well, because it does take also sometimes more than just the students' desire to learn. Like there are other resources needed. And so I also used to go to Mr. Nan for dedicated study hall time, because that was built into our schedule, and you could go with like supervised study hall and just to like work with him to help figure out what homework you need to do and everything. So I think it was more a discussion of students learning how to talk to teachers through their weaknesses, but also bringing parents into the discussion and figuring out as a family how you can figure that out, whether it's time at home or tutors on the side or things that can help really foster that. And my 8th grade teacher, Miss Reza, I was never a great writer. And so she would sit with me in 8th grade and help me write my essays to improve them, which seemed to have worked because I've written many essays to get into college and medical school and research grants and various things like that. So there are a lot of support through Chandler to help with children's weaknesses and help improve them so that they're no longer weakness and now a strength for every student.
Thank you so much, Samantha. And thank you to all of you for really speaking very personally to just how the school supports strengths and also areas of opportunity. Love this question in the chat. Are students encouraged to try new things or are encouraged to just concentrate on very specific strengths or interests? Who wants to talk to this? Sunday?
I mean, like I said earlier, yes. you are encouraged to do as much as you would like to. You can take on all of the activities and do so, and do it well. I don't know, like I did all of the plays that I possibly could. I was playing all 5 of the sports offered. I was doing student council and all of like the elective opportunities. I mean, there's the thing about Chandler is it blocks out time throughout the day, throughout the school day, for you to do these activities. So when you have play rehearsal, it's usually during the day, except when you're like leading up to the show. But as you prepare for the show, it's during an actual school day. So there's allocated time to do that. So it doesn't interfere with sports practices. So you can do both. And I mean, you can, there's just like so many opportunities and so many chances to do as many things as you want to. But also, if you want to focus in, that's also totally an option. If you want to be extremely like academically focused, I think it's encouraged that you branch out. But if you would like to do that, if that's where you prefer to focus your time, then that's also an option as well.
Nathan?
Yeah, I just want to follow up with that. I definitely agree. Chandler students are encouraged to try everything. And I hate to mention debate again, but I didn't initially think of trying debate, but Mr. Holm, Chandler's head debate coach, encouraged everyone to give it a go. And ever since, it's been one of my main extracurriculars. So I'm really thankful for that.
Thank you so much. This question in the chat popped up. Now that you've graduated from Chandler, what do you miss most? I feel like I need to do the Jeopardy. What is it? The sound. Who would like to go first? Max.
You know what? I do miss Chandler a lot, but at the same time, I don't. And that's because I still think Chandler is so involved in my life. For example, some of my best friends I'm still connected with. And for example, one of my friends now, we went to Chandler since first grade together. We went to different high schools, but now we're both at USC together and we still get lunch and hang out. And I think Chandler's just been such a big part of my life that it'll always be a big part of my life. And I don't think I'll ever lose connection with the school. So I don't miss it because I'm still a part of the community.
Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to add to that? That was a hard one to follow, Max.
That was great. Thanks, Max.
Thank you so much. I do want to just add this in because as we are a middle school, and thank you everyone for dropping in your questions to the chat. I think we're only going to be doing 2 more questions just to be respectful of our panelist time as well as to all of you. But definitely we will take note of the questions, and I know our panelists have offered to share thoughts after the event this evening, so we can definitely follow up. But I just wanted to touch upon just high school application process. So would any of you like to elaborate a little bit about the high school application process? What was your experience? Did you find it daunting? And how were you able to navigate that process and really find the high school that fit for you? Reza.
So obviously it was a little different for us because when we were applying to high schools during COVID, but I think the stress levels were the exact same as they're going to be. Applying to high schools is a difficult thing, actually. It's tough on the student, especially if they're trying to push for the best school possible. But the way that Chandler combats that is by giving as much support as possible. You receive a ton of teacher support. You get recs from all the teachers that you asked for. I'm so thankful to them for that. And people like Mr. Nanis, as Sunday mentioned, give you kind of like a way to outline your days and allow you to manage your time in terms of applying to high schools. And then after everybody gets into a school that best fits them. I'm a firm believer in that. I think everybody ends up where they're supposed to be. And although it is a stressful process, it is really fun at the end when you go to the school that's best suited for you.
Sunday, did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was kind of in between two schools. After all of the application process, I was in between Prep and Westridge, and it was really down to just fit, because I really loved both of the schools, and I decided that the fit of Westridge was better for me, and I think that is in large part a testament to Chandler and the way that it helped me create a better understanding of myself by providing all of these different activities, all of these opportunities. I really got to explore what I enjoyed and the things that I prioritized. And so when I was looking at high schools, those were the things that I was looking for. Like, what aspects do I really want to engage with? And something that I found at Westridge was just as we have been talking about, the community and how close everyone was, and how welcoming everyone was. I mean, I had a friend at Westridge at the time on my soccer team, and when I went and toured, she came running up to me with all of her friends and gave me a hug, and like, we just all started talking. And that was a moment that really stuck out for me, because it reminded me of the community that I had at Chandler. And that's kind of what made me choose Westridge. And I think it comes pretty naturally after being at Chandler, finding what high school fits you.
Natalia, thank you, Sunday.
Yeah, and I remember before I started applying to high schools, Miss Lurie reached out to all the students, and we had like a practice interview, and like a handful of schools came and talked to us during some of our block periods, and they would just explain the school and talk a little bit about it, and that was really helpful too. And I think that answering the questions like on the application and for the interview, Chandler really helped a lot with that. When I asked, like, I would ask Mrs. Dretzka for help, the English 8th grade teacher. She's retired now, but I would just ask her for help on how to, answer the questions, and she would just help me a lot with that. And so.
Thank you so much, Natalia. And I think this is a really great final question to end on, because we've talked about so many different facets of Chandler's program, but we do have a question in here that talks a little bit about just what has your experience been with foreign languages, so Spanish, art, and music. I would love for any of you to speak about any one of those. And we've had a couple of questions in the chat about art. Oh, I see multiple hands. Natalia?
Yeah, I think Chandler prepares you really well for high school, like extremely well. Like so many of my classmates at Flintridge Prep have, told me, they're like, "Oh, Natalia, like you're so advanced," and stuff like that. So like at Flintridge Prep, we took biology 9th grade, and Mr. Cal's class, we literally went over all of the concepts that we went over in 9th grade biology. And then to be placed into like a math or a world language, I was placed into like the highest Spanish. And for math, I had the opportunity to be able to accelerate and, be placed into a higher math as well. And so I think Chandler prepares you really well for like the advanced track in high school.
Thank you, Natalia. Samantha, and then Sunday.
So Chandler really does focusing on developing the whole person, and that does include foreign language, and it does include the art and music. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Johnson, but I believe you start Spanish when you're in kindergarten and you carry it all the way through 8th grade. So they really are putting the emphasis, and you have art classes from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, and same with music. So they really do start when they start science and math and put an emphasis on that as well with athletics, they also put the same emphasis on art, music, and languages. And once you get to middle school, you can then delve more into the specific area that you are more focused on. So I had friends who did more of the art electives, whereas I did different electives, but they still make sure that everyone has that core curriculum of exposure to all different aspects to make sure you're a whole well-rounded applicant and a whole well-rounded just student moving through the world, by really putting emphasis on everything. And I mean, I still have my art projects. I am personally was not an artistic person. I very much so swayed to the sports and the science and the math area, but my mom still has kept some of my sculptures that are like in my house. And you will regret, Chandler, starting your children on the 3rd grade recorders, because you'll never hear the end of it. I mean, we dreaded that recital because like you sit there, I sat there for my brothers, and it's like the world's worst recital because it's just like all of these children with their recorders, and there's always someone a little off key, but it's also the like most beautiful thing you've heard because these 3rd graders are just so excited by this music and it is just so well done. But I mean, if you've heard a recorder, it can get annoying after like the 100th hour of it being played. But again, it was an experience that it's like at 3rd grade, you're learning how to play an instrument. And I learned how to play the violin as one of the after school programs. So the school does really focus on developing the well-rounded individual.
Oh my goodness, what a wonderful evening, and so great to spend time with all of you and to hear all of your wonderful reflections and experiences. Miss Lurie, was there a question that I might have missed? I know that there were a few questions that overlapped with one another, and I know, thank you so much, Nathan, for answering the question in the chat. But definitely we'll take some time to actually pull some of these questions out. And I know that if some of our panelists would like to share some of these thoughts in a follow-up, we can absolutely do that. Ms. Lurie can get that to you. But we are so grateful for your time this evening. Thank you so much to all of our current families. Thank you so much to all of our prospective families who are considering Chandler for their children. We are so grateful for you to spend this a little bit over an hour with us this evening. And thank you so much to all of our panelists, to our alumni who continue to stay connected to each other and to the school. We are so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you for the leaders that you are, and wishing you all a really wonderful evening. Ms. Lurie?
Yes, I will also just chime in and say that we're very grateful for your time this evening. We hope you had an exceptional evening. We think it's a real special treat that you got to hear from our esteemed alumni. We're excited to continue the admissions journey with all of you that are prospective families. We will continue our webinar series in January. We'll have events in January, February, and March. So we'll keep you posted on those through our admissions newsletter. I did share Ms. Johnson and my email in the chat. So if you have follow-up questions that you would like to be addressed, we'd be happy to reach out to our alumni panel and get back to you if there is anything else that you had questions about that were not answered tonight. But I do think that we were able to cover most of the questions in the chat. And we thank you for your time, your consideration of Chandler, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. And wonderful panel. Thank you so much for your time, effort, and continued support of Chandler through the admissions program.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.